This week, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development let the world know it's paying attention to the SNC-Lavalin affair. The International Economic Group oversees a global anti-bribery convention, and it released a statement saying the group is, quote, concerned by accusations that Prime Minister Trudeau and some members of his staff allegedly interfered with former Attorney General Jody-Wilson Raybould's decision about a potential remediation agreement for SNC-Lavalin, kind of like a plea bargain for the company. The Quebec engineering giant is accused of bribing Libyan officials between 2001 and 2011 to win business there. So what exactly is the OECD watching for? Drago Kos is the chair of the OECD Working Group on Bribery, and he joins us via Skype from Kiev, Ukraine. Hi, Mr. Kos. Nice to see you. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation.
So the statement that the working group released a few days ago says, it starts off by saying that the working group on bribery is, quote, concerned by recent allegations of interference in the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. What are those concerns specifically?
Well, we have very strict requirements for our countries that they don't have to interfere in the autonomy or, if you wish, so independence of prosecutors. And since allegations were so strong, plus, in addition, we saw the testimony of the former Attorney General. We simply thought we felt the need to say something, because this is one of our core tasks.
What did you think of the testimony from the former Attorney General?
Well, as I said, allegations which were expressed there immediately raised all alarms sounding in the working group on bribery. And that's why we started the debate. We informed the Canadian delegation 1 week ahead that they will receive the questions. We discussed them, and we made the decision to issue a public statement for the time being, just to express concern about the allegations, and also recognizing the fact that in Canada you already have two committees which are independently dealing with the case. So we are quite in comfortable position now, because we just have to wait to see what will be the results of those two inquiries.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, sort of what metrics you'll use to judge the outcome of this. How will you decide if what happened was inappropriate or appropriate? Are you watching just, for example, to see what the Ethics Commissioner decides? The Justice Committee, we don't know what kind of will come out at the end of that. How will you make those decisions?
Well, it will not be just decisions of both of your committees. Of course, we trust them both. But Canada will be submitted to our, what we call, phase 4 evaluation soon, which means that we will evaluate all the Canadian efforts in implementing the OECD Anti-Corruption Anti-Bribery Convention. And then our experts coming from two countries, peers of Canada in the working group, and our secretariat will make a thorough analysis of the allegations and of the findings of both committees.
And what is the timeline for that?
This will not go very quick. What we want to do first is to listen to Canada first, and that the first opportunity will be in June, when the working group will convene again in Paris. So, and this is basically the content of our letter, which we sent to Canadian authorities, that we invite them to report back to us on the developments in June. And then we'll see if there will be a need to do some urgent measures, or simply wait for a phase 4 evaluation, which will for sure not happen this year.
And what kind of recourse does the OECD have if there is a finding of some sort of wrongdoing?
Well, we have different measures at our disposal. Let's say we had a bit similar, but even worse case some 13 years ago, where United Kingdom was the country which was under our scrutiny. Then issued two public statements, which were a bit stronger than the one which was issued now for Canada. We have another country for which we will issue a very strong public statement tomorrow. But this is just one of the recourses we have. First of all, we want to see if it happens that autonomy of the prosecutor is breached, then of course we want to see countries to introduce measures which will prevent similar things to happen in the future, and then we are insisting on them.
Can I ask you also about something that's come up throughout the discussions here that are taking place in Canada, and that is in reference to what can and can't be considered when making the decision to pursue or not to pursue a deferred prosecution agreement. And in Article 5 of the Anti-Bribery Convention, it explicitly states that prosecutions of the bribery of foreign public officials in international business transactions are not to be influenced by considerations of national economic interest. There's a bit of a debate here about what that means and if the possibility of 9,000 jobs being lost qualifies for that. Do you think jobs are something that should be considered in making a decision about whether or not to pursue a DPA?
Well, we had different forms of those national economic interests already. And for us, see, national economic interests, all three words are pretty clear. The meaning of all three words is pretty clear. So we had internal, we had external national economic interests. So basically, it is the working group who always makes a decision. But I would say that we would hardly be able to say that if the allegations are truth, that this was not done because of the national economic interests.
Sorry, can you just explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm saying that if the allegations that there was interference in the autonomy of the prosecutor because of the elements which you have listed, then I'm almost sure that the group, but because the group has the final say, would say that those are the reasons which are prohibited by Article 5, basically national economic interests.
So raising the specter of job losses from your perspective is not something that should be permissible.
Well, let's take a look from a different angle. We all want just if there is a suspicion that criminal offenses have been committed, and there you have the, let's say, the criminal charges of the police, you have the indictment of the prosecutor. I think we would all agree that only the merits of the case should be taken into consideration and nothing else. And this is all what we want.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Koss. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you and goodbye.